All right, we got Sonnet 5 out today. Fable 5 export control has been lifted as well, so we can expect that to come out soon. We're going to test out Sonnet 5, see how it performs. We'll be testing out versus GLM 5.2 as well. We're going to have some cool stuff in the Agent OS. And if you've got any questions, feel free to ask. Good to see you here. Thanks for joining. Interesting. I think we're all excited for it. I think Fable 5's coming back now, isn't it? Export control lifted. Sonnet 5 just dropped. I think we're looking at next 24, 48 hours, something like that. Let's see. Wow. That's wild, yes. It's on them. Can't wait for that. Start doing the Goldie bench tests for Sonnet 5. Start with these and do the rest. Research all the benchmarks on Sonnet 5, costs, etc., and then do a guide on this. And also show side by side how they perform for a few different tests. All right, so we got a question here. Do you have any views on Sonnet 5 versus Opus 4.8 for knowledge base? So I'm testing out right now, but from what I've seen, in some ways, Opus 4.8 is better because I think it's cheaper and also it performs better. And even like at max, if you're using max with Sonnet 5, from what I've seen, it doesn't perform as well as Opus 4.8, or it's just kind of like level. So from everything that I've seen, the hype around Sonnet 5 is not that good. I'm going to test out today personally, but from what I've seen on the benchmarks, the costs, everything else, I probably wouldn't switch at this point. However, if Fable 5 comes out, then of course light switch, because that's the best. So from what I've seen so far, like I wouldn't switch to Sonnet 5 at all yet. Just wait to see what comes out later this week. Thank you. Welcome here, Tony. Thanks for joining me. David says, which one is the best to use? I assume you mean which AI is the best to use, so you don't spend much. So if you check out Goldie Bench, you can look at the free local models, and from there you can decide which one you prefer the most. Yeah, I mean, like, it's, you know, if you're looking for the best model, but you're also looking for like the free or cheap one, well, usually those two things don't go hand in hand, right? So you've either got to choose. Do you want to pick the best one, or do you want to pick a mediocre one that's cheap? And it sounds to me like you're going for the cheap one. So I would go with that. And then I think if you want a cheap model that's right up there, go with GLM 5.2. Cheaper than Claude, still pretty good on performance. You can see the leaderboards on Goldie Bench. Yeah, and I would stick with that. Back in a sec. Gemini, Super Grok, and Float. Nice. Yeah, I mean, Gemini, I don't really use, honestly, these days. Super Grok, pretty good. Probably Grok Build is one of the best that came out recently. I was feeling the reggae. This techno isn't bad either. Quick question, why would you say to integrate Obsidian? Well, let's say, for example, you have Hermes agent built-in memory. How do you share that with Claude? How do you share that with the new CLIs you set up, right? You can't really, because it's just for Hermes. So they're not going to run like natively. So that's why instead what you want is a system where you've got Obsidian shared across all your agents, and then you're not just thinking in terms of one agent. Because like if you saw, for example, last year it was all about Claude. This year it was about OpenClaw in January or February. Now it's about Hermes agent. It's like the agents and the harnesses change all the time. So instead of relying on the agent's memory, build your own memory so that you can switch and swap and change no matter what happens next. Thank you so much. Rocker says, hi, huge fan of your work, buddy. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. Do you know, I'm going to put the reggae back on as people are feeling that. There we go. Any requests on the music, let me know. We'll get the agent on it. Can you build a short video generator inside the NotebookLM section so that we can just generate one in a couple of clicks, make it super easy? Thank you, glad you like that. So Empower, welcome back, sir. Hello, Julian, how is Claude Sonnet 5? By now. Nowhere near Fable 5, right? You guessed it right. We're testing it right now. So we're testing Sonnet 5 versus GLM 5.2. And from what I can see so far, GLM 5.2 is beating Sonnet 5 4-1. Now, we'll continue all the tests. We'll run it on Goldie Bench. I'll create a guide about it in a second. But right now, it looks like GLM 5.2 on actual tests, right? Not like, theoretical benchmarks. On actual tests, what we're seeing so far is that GLM 5.2 is beating Sonnet 5. However, on agentic benchmarks, if you really care about those, Sonnet 5 is winning. But let's see. But yeah, not looking good for Sonnet 5 so far. However, on these tasks, it's doing okay. So you see, it's scoring about an average of 7 out of 10 on our tests for Sonnet 5. So it seems like it's okay, but it's not as good as GLM 5.2, which I think we all kind of knew. But from what I've seen, Fable 5 might be coming back soon. So we'll come on to that in a sec as well. So if you want a cost-effective stack for SEO, I'd recommend, if you want to keep the cost down, right, you can use Hermes Agent for the link building outreach. You can use Opus 4.8 for creating the content, because it's obviously included in the plan, so that's not too bad. Otherwise, if you're really on a budget, you could use GLM 5.2. And then for rank tracking and keyword research, you could use a combination of Google Search Console, which is obviously free, and then also Open SEO, which uses data for SEO, which is a lot cheaper than using something like Ahrefs. So that's the way that I would look at it. Wow. Oh, we got big announcements on Fable 5, my friends. Let's go. Rocker says, "Hi, buddy. Is there an AI tool I can use to promote my website or create backlinks so that ChatGPT can show my website in its searches?" Yes, you want to check out the Agent OS. That's what we're using to grow our website traffic. I've got loads of tutorials out there, but with the Agent OS, we can look at what keywords we could go for. So it can do the keyword research. You can create the content, deploy it to our websites. And then also you've got Hermes Agent that can do the link building for you. So you can basically automate all three of those things using the Agent OS system. Yeah, normally around this time each day. Yeah, I'm already working on a guide. I just mentioned it a few minutes ago. GLM 5.2 is pretty good. It is pretty good. I think if I had a choice at this point, I'd just go with GLM 5.2 over Sonnet 5. Okay, nice. Empal, Julian, what free API do you recommend by now in Open Router? Our alpha for AI agents is still valid, or are there better ones? So I would test them all yourself. It depends what you're trying to do, right? So if you're trying to code, something like North Mini Code is actually not bad at all. You could use Gemma 4. I don't know if our alpha is still available for free on Open Router, because they actually came out and someone, usually with stealth models like that, you don't know who's created them, but I saw a tweet the other day that was explaining who it was. But yeah, so I mean, like Gemma 4, you've got there's actually a free models router as well on Open Router. They're all a bit, looking at the models that are available for free. Yeah, probably North Mini Code. Hermes 3 as well. I've not tested that, but that could be an interesting one to try. And you got Nematron 3.5 as well. I would test them, see which one you like. This is a real one. Yeah, Anthropic have just announced that they're releasing Fable 5 back tomorrow. So, you know, within 24 hours, we should start seeing access again, which is exciting. Good AI and good rhythm. That's what we're talking about. Cheers. Honestly, from what I'm checking, and I'll do a guide on it in a second. I'm just preparing that right now. But from what I'm seeing so far, I wouldn't use Sonnet 5. You know, when I've been coding this morning, I've not switched over. I have tested Sonnet 5 relentlessly today. But it's not as good as you think. That's for sure. I think you're looking at Fable 5 coming out within 24 hours. I would go with that. You know, that's a lot better. And I'll show you some stuff that we built with Sonnet 5 and also how it compares. Plus, you should see some of the reactions on it. It's pretty wild. I think a lot of people are not happy with Sonnet 5, which is fair enough from what I'm seeing so far. But I'll show you what we've built, how it works side by side as well compared to GLM 5.2. So we'll come on to that in a minute. I've literally just been testing it. I think it dropped about 5 hours ago, 6 hours ago, something like that. So we've got a question here, which is, how do I link ChatGPT subscription to Hermes? So what you would do is you're going to go into your terminal. You're going to run Hermes model as a terminal command. And then from there, select ChatGPT as the model. And then from there, log in with OAuth. OAuth is what you need. Happy to help. Yeah, if you want to get the Agent OS, it's inside the AI Profit Boardroom, so feel free to check it out. We've got a question here, which is, am I correct in thinking you can't link Claude subscriptions simply with OAuth? But if you got ChatGPT, you can use ChatGPT's models with Hermes. Exactly. So on Hermes, you can't use Claude OAuth. You can use ChatGPT OAuth. You can also get a coding plan. So for example, you can get GLM 5.2 as a cheap coding plan, and then you can plug that into Hermes Agent as well. And then if you're already subscribed to Twitter, you can actually use your Twitter and Grok OAuth with Hermes Agent as well. And that way you kind of get 2 in 1, because you get Twitter and you also get Grok. Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, we spend a lot of time on it. You know, when I'm building the Agent OS out, I mean, you're looking at 3 to 4 hours a day that I spend building it out. I don't know anyone else who spends as much time building this sort of thing out and improving it every day. So yeah, I think it will help you a lot. You've probably seen all the testimonials and wins of people who are using it. So it's a great system. Literally changed everything for me, I would say. And it also makes AI a lot more fun to use if you have an AI, if you have an agent operating system. Yeah, it's a huge amount of work. If you want something that's actually really good and really smooth and polished, it's a lot of work. But it's worth it, you know, like the thing is, if I create something like that and then let's say we've got 3,900 members inside the AI Profit Boardroom and they're all using it, or even if 50% use it, then it's 100% worth it. But if it's just you creating it for yourself, spending all that time improving it and everything else every day, it's a lot of work. So I think it's better if like you get it from someone else who's, you know, working full time on it. Nice. This guide needs to be a lot more visual. So I would recommend that you pull in the traffic statistics and graphs from our latest SEO projects, the ones that are doing pretty well. I'd also recommend that you show more visual stuff inside the content and also add diagrams as well. Right now, there's no diagrams, there's no examples, there's nothing. There's not even links to other blog posts. So you need to make this guide a lot more visual. How are you getting on with the rest of the tests? Thank you. You. Yeah, I don't use a PC, so it's not my specialty. About 100% honest with you, but I've got a tutorial that just dropped yesterday on how to run free models with the Agent OS. And you know, whether you're using a PC or a Mac, I would recommend the Agent OS system. I think it's the best. All right, back in a sec. Yeah, I would imagine so. If the export controls are removed, that means everyone in the world should be able to use Fable 5 again. I don't think it'll be limited to the US. I think it's all good. So happy days. It's looking good. It's looking pretty exciting. Yeah, that was from June the 12th, but now the export control has been lifted, right? So it's all good. So I think that was before, but now it's been fixed. Not sure exactly, honestly, but honestly, we don't go over the limits for Claude on our existing plans. So I don't think it's like, I think we've done an inefficient way, really. So I don't think we've had to worry about tokens too much. Big news today as the export control on Fable 5 and Mythos 5 has been lifted. You can see this tweet by Leo right here. Howard Lutnick has officially lifted the export control on Anthropic's Fable 5. Happy days, my friends. So you can see the announcement right here, June the 30th, 2026. And according to Anthropic, it should be restored in access tomorrow. That means we should all get access to Fable 5 again tomorrow or within the next sort of 48 hours, I would say. So you can see the official announcement from Anthropic here. They've said we've received notice that the Department of Commerce has lifted export controls on Claude, Fable 5, and Mythos 5. And they've said we'll begin restoring access tomorrow and we'll share an update soon. This was just posted like about an hour and 20 minutes ago. So it's very, very recent news. They said we're grateful to our users for their patience and to everyone who worked with us on redeploying the model. So happy days. We are getting Fable 5 back. And I think that's a move in the right direction. It also seems like because the controls have been lifted, I would expect that everyone in the world gets access to that. I don't think it's going to be limited to a certain location or just for the US. I think that'll be available for everyone around the world, which is fantastic news. And Claude have just released Sonnet 5. Honestly, it's a bit of a flat release. It's not that great. So I think that Fable 5 a huge step up because if you look at the hierarchy of things, you got Sonnet 5 down here, then you have probably Opus 4.8 just above it, and the next version of Opus will be even better. And then Fable 5, of course, is coming out as well. And I think as well, when you look at it, it's such a relief to know that we're not being gated on access anymore because I think a lot of people are worried about there's going to be a situation in the future where we don't have access to frontier models where the people who do have access, like the tiny 0.01%, run ahead because they've got access to everything and we don't, and there becomes this sort of divide, which that would have massive consequences across the world. So it's a good move in the right direction. So let's have a look and see what we got here. So this is Howard Lutnick. He said, over the past 2 weeks, we have worked closely with Anthropic to analyze and approve Fable 5 to ensure alignment across the US government and strengthen America's leadership in AI. So Howard is the one who lifted the export control on Fable 5, 41st United States Secretary of Commerce. Happy days, happy days. That's what I say. So just to be clear here, Fable 5 should be coming back tomorrow. Let's see what else we got here. So Susie Wiles, Chief of Staff, also announced under President Trump's leadership, the United States is the is the undisputed winner in the AI race. And she said, "My gratitude to companies across industries who continue to work together, blah, blah, blah." So that's just kind of like a general update. I mean, make of that what you will. And yeah, it's exciting times. It's good to see that back. I think that's a huge relief. I'm excited to see it back. In terms of what happened, it came from the White House, then Commerce Secretary, then reporters, then Anthropic, all inside like half an hour. So like 6:26 a.m., this announcement comes out. Then the Commerce Secretary mentions about Fable 5 out loud, so 6:31 a.m. my time. Then a reporter announces the export control has been lifted, and then Anthropic make it official. So in the space of like 20 minutes, all of this got announced, which is pretty cool. Now, if you wondering, okay, what happened with the previous timeline when it came to Fable 5? So it went dark and then it came back. So it got pulled. The US government flags security concerns with Fable 5 and Mythos 5, and access is cut. And that was on the 16th of June. And then we were all going back and forth. We had an Axios and Forbes report that return is on track for Fable 5 and could come back this week. But the weekend passes with no signature. That was the 27th to the 29th of June. 1st of July, White House announces it. Then Commerce approves. Then we get Anthropic saying access is back within 24 hours. So happy days there. Nothing on GPT 5.6, by the way. Not heard anything about GPT 5.6 coming out or Sol or Luna or anything like that. So that seems to be stuck in preview. I mean, if you asked me, right, is GPT 5.6 going to be better than Fable 5? I would say no. I think, Claude have consistently over the last 12 to 16 months outperformed GPT 5.6, and I think that'll continue. They've outperformed ChatGPT. I think that'll continue. Now, the thing that I would say is whatever happens next, focus on the system. Don't worry about the model because, you've got Sonnet 5 coming out today. You've got Fable 5 coming back out tomorrow. You'll have something else next month. The way that I'm looking at this is we'll get Fable 5 back into our agent operating system, and we'll probably make that the default CLI. But whatever happens next, focus on the system, right? And that's why we build out agent operating systems like this with a shared memory and everything else, because these models swap and change, and some will be in preview. It won't be the first time that a model gets pulled. In fact, I think that'll be a very consistent theme over the next 12 months. And also, I don't think it'll be the first time that a frontier model goes into preview and nobody can access it. So, just be prepared for that in the future as well. And that's why we build great systems instead of worrying about the models and chasing each model. Because for most people as well, you don't need the frontier models. You just need a good system to automate most of what you do. So let's see what happens next. Fable 5 is coming back. It's official. It was based on a policy, but it is a warning that, any model can vanish overnight. So don't put all your workflows into Fable 5 again. Be balanced, have great systems, diversify. And the main thing I would say here is the system wins, right? One dashboard, every model, and then you can switch everything around. So if you want to get our agent operating system, Fable 5 was one model. The agent OS is the operating system that runs any of them. Fable 5, local, free, all from one dashboard. So that an outage like this never stops you. You get one dashboard for every model. You get every CLI plugged in right here. You get Hermes, OpenClaw, Claude, all plugged into one system with a shared memory. And every time a new update comes out, for example, like today, NotebookLM just dropped short videos. We already plugged that into the agent OS so that you can get the most out of these models as well. So exciting times for Fable 5. Hope to see you inside the AI Profit Boardroom. We've actually got a lot of training on Fable 5 inside the AI Profit Boardroom too. If you search the classroom, you can see loads of training on Fable 5 and also how it performs versus other models and systems like, for example, Fusion and mixture of agents. Now, this is my community focused on helping you save time and scale with AI automation. You can post questions inside the community. I answer them personally each day. You can jump inside the classroom, get access to all of our best trainings, and you can also get the Agent OS, which we update daily with a video tutorial, a step-by-step guide, and the zip file to install it, plus new daily guides as useful stuff actually comes out. Plus, inside the calendar, you get 4-week coaching calls. You can meet people in your local area from the map, and that's all available inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description, or go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. Sorry about that. Yeah, share the right screen next time. Noob mistake there. Noob mistake. Let's make sure we get that fixed. Still though, either way, happy days. You'll come out later today, so yeah. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So we got a question here. Which model do you recommend using for the voice activated Hermes agent inside the Agent OS? I'd recommend ChatGPT real time. It is by far the fastest and most responsive voice API I've seen out there. And I actually only found that out because a friend was creating a voice agent for their clients, and they showed me, and I was like, wow, it's literally instant. So I'd recommend that. We did try 11 Labs, nowhere near as good. Did try Minimax, nowhere near as good. But ChatGPT real time, amazing for the API. So today we have the release of Claude Sonnet 5, apparently the most agentic model from Claude and Anthropic yet. And apparently, you can see the announcement here, it just dropped a few hours ago. It can make plans, use tools like browser terminals, run autonomously at a level just a few months ago it required larger and more expensive models. We'll come on to this in a minute. I'm not going to hype it up here because you'll see from my test in a minute. I'm just going to tell you the honest truth. So here you can see you got Sonnet 5, you got Sonnet 4.6. So it is a step up from Sonnet 4.6. If you actually look like Sonnet 5, nowhere near the same level as Opus 4.8. So if we look at agentic coding, 63% versus 69% for Opus 4.8. I mean, literally on every single benchmark here, Opus 4.8 is crushing it. Now, if you were comparing 4.6 from Sonnet versus 5, then of course it's a big step up. But I think for most people, like you're probably still going to stick to Opus 4.8 for building stuff, especially at this point. Now, we can expect Fable 5 to drop very soon. Anthropic just announced that they're going to be releasing and giving people access back again within 24 hours for Fable 5. So this kind of just feels like a weird release where I don't know if many people care about it. I mean, if you're watching this, you use Sonnet 4.6 already. Are you not just sticking to Opus 5 to Opus 4.8? Are you not going to just switch to Fable 5? For me personally, I just don't know if this is really a big update or not. Now, if we actually have a look at what we've created so far on Goldie Bench with Claude Sonnet, let's take a look right here. So if we pull up the benchmarks over here, he did create some pretty cool stuff, and I'll show you what we've built, how it works, etc., how it performs. So we can gather some examples side by side over here. Here's a couple of examples. So this was like a Raycaster maze. I mean, it can create pretty nice stuff, right? Like this is pretty cool. The graphics, pretty nice. The colors, pretty nice. I mean, it works perfectly as a game. For some reason, the controls were a bit backwards when I tested out personally. But apart from that, we're all good here and it's working nice. Now, if we have a look at this one, this is kind of like a little test. The orbit test for a galaxy didn't work at all. So some things are broken on it completely. And then this was kind of like a cool synthwave background as well. Then we actually created a crypt game, as you can see right here. And it looks pretty nice. Like, I mean, again, it's smooth, easy to use, etc. Not bad at all. But when we actually look at it on the benchmarks, you'll see how it compares in a second. You also might be wondering, okay, how does it compare versus GLM 5.2? I'll do a deeper tutorial on this later. But basically, if we have a look side by side, this is the maze example from Sonnet 5. Pretty nice. I do think it's a big step up versus what GLM 5.2 created over here, which is, using the same prompt, but it's just a little bit buggy, not quite as smooth. You can see, I mean, a little bit buggy, I would say very buggy at this point. So when we've compared it on tests like that, it didn't do so well. But then there were other things where, for example, the orbit didn't work at all with Sonnet 5. But if we have a look at GLM 5.2's version, it actually works really nicely and it can complete the task. So there were some tasks where Sonnet 5 actually totally failed and then GLM 5.2 crushed it. But we'll come on to more stuff like that later in a different tutorial. Now, we can also see here, for example, side by side, we've got two outputs from Sonnet 5 side by side for this game, as you can see. And also, you can see it didn't do so well in terms of public reception. So, for example, you can see this tweet from Lisa, who said Sonnet 5 goes straight into the garbage bin. 1.2x more expensive than Opus 4.8 Max, 2 times more expensive than GPT 5.5x High, 5 times more expensive than GLM 5.2. I mean, it's pretty wild when you put it like that. I can understand why a lot of people are quite negative about it because basically Opus 4.8 is outperforming Claude Sonnet 5 on many benchmarks, as you saw earlier. But Sonnet 5 is more expensive than Opus 4.8. So Opus 4.8 is better, but Sonnet 5 is more expensive. How does that make sense? And again, I think with Fable 5 coming out soon, this is going to be one of those things where people don't even talk about Sonnet 5 anymore because it's been received so badly. You can see another tweet here from Bridgemind. So he said, Anthropic seriously messed up with Claude Sonnet 5. The token efficiency is so bad, it actually ends up being more expensive than Opus 4.8. What are they doing? So it's been quite a brutal day for Anthropic. Here's another one from Bridgemind who was saying, Claude Sonnet 5 looks terrible on Cursor Bench. The whole point of using Sonnet is that it's faster and cheaper. But if we actually look at the leaderboards here, we can see that Sonnet 5 is way underperforming Opus 4.8. So if you're going to ask me like, okay, what is the best API to stick to? What model would you use with Claude Code or Claude Desktop, whatever? Just stick with Opus 4.8. Like, there's no point using Sonnet 5 from what I can see right here, especially when it's scoring so low on Goldie Bench. I mean, let's compare it to a couple of other things. So we've got Claude Sonnet Fugu Ultra. So Fugu Ultra is the new model from Japan. So this is the output for the Crypt game from Fugu Ultra. And basically what it does, it fuses two models together, and you can see like the output's pretty nice from that, right? Now, if we have a look at the outputs from Sonnet 5, you can see like the colors are a lot darker. There's not as much going on. It's not as interesting, etc. So even like the models where you fuse older Frontier models together are way outperforming Sonnet 5 by quite a long way. Like, this is just a much more interesting response. Let's have a look at another example. So we've got liquid in a bowl here, right? So what should be happening here is that you have like liquid in a bowl. And here's an example of what it looks like from Sakana Fugu. Now, if we compare that to Sonnet 5, it just doesn't look as good, right? And that's a huge gap in quality. Again, if we compare the orbit outputs, Sonnet 5 totally failed. Sakana Fugu crushed it. Now we're going to do more tests, and it just dropped out a few hours ago. But from what I can see, I wouldn't use Sonnet 5. I don't see the use case. It might be great at writing potentially. That might be something, but apart from that, yeah, there's no need to switch or anything like that. And you're probably asking, why would you release a worse model that's more expensive? I don't know if, like, for example, Anthropic just felt the need to, to like bring out something new because there hadn't been a new version of Sonnet for a while. I'm not sure what they were doing here, or whether they were just disappointed themselves with the outputs. But from everything that I can see, I wouldn't use Sonnet 5. What I do actually appreciate is that they were so honest on the benchmarks, because there's probably a lot of companies who would try and make Sonnet 5 look better than it is. But from what I can see, like the benchmarks were ruthlessly honest that Opus 4.8 is a lot better. Either way, whatever happens, when there's a model launch like this, focus on the system. Don't worry about the models. Fable 5 will come out pretty soon as well. And so, I wouldn't worry about like what's the hot model of the week. You want to have a system where you can use something like the agent operating system, and it doesn't matter what comes out next. So, for example, for us, if Sonnet 5 was actually good, we would plug it into our agent operating system. It's not, so we'll keep Opus 4.8 instead. And that's the whole point here, is like, whatever happens, you want to have systems ready to go that are flexible no matter what comes out next. I mean, for example, something else that we did is we plugged in GLM 5.2 into Claude Code so that we could get the best agent harness with one of the cheapest models, and then we can combine the best of both. And we've got like a workspace where we can track everything. We've got a memory system plugged into all of this. We've got Hermes agent ready to go on Claude, CLI, and everything else. And then we've got a team of agents inside our group mastermind and everything else. So the point here is like, focus on the system and having a great systems. And then if good models come out, you can swap them in and out. If they don't like this, you're not disappointed because you still got great systems and it doesn't matter what comes out next. So if you want to get our agent operating system, it's inside the AI Profit Boardroom. This is our community that helps you save time and grow and scale with AI automation. Inside the community, you can ask questions, get help and support whenever you want. Inside the classroom, you get access to all of our best trainings. If you want to get our Agent OS system, it's over here with a video tutorial, a step-by-step guide, and the zip file to download and install. And then you can see there are new daily tutorials right here. Also, if you want to jump on weekly coaching calls, we've got 4 coaching calls per week where you can share your screen, ask questions, get help and support in real time. And inside the map, you can actually meet people in your local area who are building with Claude and agent operating systems and stuff like that. But overall, Sonnet 5, not great, wouldn't switch. Continue using Opus 4.8, and let's hope Fable 5 comes out soon. Thanks for watching. Let's see what questions we got here. DG, great, thanks. I have quite the latency, so I'll use GPT. Hey, bro, what do you recommend doing to reduce usage in Claude? I'd recommend using Headroom. Headroom is pretty good. It's free and open source. You can plug it into whatever CLI you prefer. Where is OpenClaw? I think just people don't use OpenClaw. I mean, I basically created tutorials on both of them and covered like the full journey between when OpenClaw came out and then also when Hermes got released. And then I remember testing out Hermes for the first time and thinking, actually, this is pretty cool. And then gradually Hermes just got better and better. More and more people started switching to it until eventually nobody really uses OpenClaw anymore, right? Like I think the Hermes is just so powerful. I don't see anyone using OpenClaw. And also bear in mind, like OpenClaw, it was just breaking all the time. Like every single update that came out, OpenClaw tended to get worse. And maybe they fixed it now, but I think we're at the point now where it's just like, okay, why not just stick to Hermes as well? So if you look at OpenRouter, like the trajectory of Hermes is going up like that, and the trajectory of OpenClaw is just dropping. And that's because overall, Hermes is a much better model, much smoother model. Exactly. That's a really good point, Empower. Fantastic point there. That sums it up perfectly. McCann says, I used it and it seems annoyingly slow. Would agree with you. Would agree with you. Empower says, thanks a lot. You're the best. Thank you very much, sir. And DG says, also, when using Sonnet 5, it can switch to Opus depending on the prompt. So the token cost can fluctuate according to Anthropic. Yeah, that's kind of annoying as well. I actually saw that with Fable 5. Like sometimes it would just randomly switch and you're like, why are you doing that, mate? What are we doing here? All right, we're going to get more of these tests done with Sonnet 5. Can you update the website as soon as the new tests go live? Creative Cheeto says, does Hermes use the official OpenAI or does it use ChatGPT OAuth? You can use ChatGPT OAuth. When you go to Hermes model inside terminal, select Codex or OpenAI and then select OAuth. And from there you can use OAuth. Claude Sonnet 5 versus GLM 5.2, the one-shot showdown. Who wins? We're going to walk through it today, and side by side, we'll be comparing how Sonnet 5 compares to GLM 5.2. So let's get straight into this. And the first thing that we're going to start with is a crypt game, like a dungeon crawler that we've created with both of these models. So this is GLM 5.2. This is Sonnet 5. Which one wins? Let's compare them side by side. We'll also compare the benchmarks in a second as well. So if we have a look, this is the output from GLM 5.2. And not bad, not bad at all. Let's have a look at the output from Sonnet 5. I'd actually say the graphics are smoother, but the gameplay itself is not that great. Like, there's literally nothing going on here. It's super dark, and there is no game to be played. It's just you walking around a maze. So not that great. And I would say this is kind of the theme that I've seen across everything. And we'll come on to some more tests in a second in terms of how they perform. So also got another one here, which is like, build a Raycaster maze. So let's see how they perform. This is the output from GLM 5.2. And if we have a look here, you can see that it is super buggy, right? It's really, really buggy, as you can see here. Whereas, for example, if we have a look at the output from Claude Sonnet 5, it actually does win in this particular contest. So it is possible to get better outputs with Sonnet 5 than GLM 5.2. Bear in mind that Anthropic's Sonnet 5 is closed, whereas GLM 5.2 is open source. So that plays a big difference as well. And also, of course, GLM 5.2 is a lot cheaper than Sonnet 5. So let's see how they perform on the tests here. If we compare them on Cursor Bench, we've got Fable 5 Max right at the top, extra high. So Fable 5 is absolutely dominating, crushing here. If we have a look at Sonnet 5, it's way down the charts. You can see here, for example, it's number 13. However, GLM 5.2 is actually a lot lower. So you can see it scores 61.2% for Sonnet 5 on Cursor Bench, whereas GLM 5.2 scores 54.6. So there is a big difference here in terms of how they perform side by side. Now, you also might be wondering, okay, should you pick Opus 4.8 or should you pick Sonnet 5 if you're using Claude, Claude Code, etc.? So what we can see so far is the Opus 4.8 crushes Sonnet 5 on the benchmarks as well. So if you have a choice between them, I'd go with Opus 4.8. But bear in mind that Fable 5 is expected to drop within the next 24 hours. That's been announced officially from Anthropic. So, if you had a choice, I'd put Sonnet 5 down here. Then we've got Opus 4.8 above that. And then we have Fable 5 that's even better than all of them. And also something to bear in mind as well, you can see in this tweet by Lisa, is 1.2 times more expensive than Opus 4.8, and Sonnet 5 is 2 times more expensive than GPT 5.5, but actually 5 times more expensive than GLM 5.2. So bear in mind, like if you're using the coding plans, so you can get a coding plan with Claude, or you can get a coding plan with GLM 5.2. If you're using the coding plan, it's going to be a lot cheaper with GLM 5.2. And also bear in mind, like if you want like the full power of GLM 5.2, but you prefer using something like Claude Code, we actually set up something called GLM Code inside the Agent OS system so that we can use the power of GLM 5.2's brain inside Claude Code. And then we can see everything that we've created right here. And it performs pretty well when we're doing that as well. So you get like the agent harness of Claude Code, but you can plug in GLM 5.2. And then, either way, whatever drops, whatever comes out next, you can get the most of these models by having great systems like this. Now, let's have a look how it scores on Goldie Bench. So obviously, Claude Sonnet 5 just dropped a few hours ago. It's a million token context window. It's scoring pretty well on SW Bench Verified, to be fair. They've actually said it's their most agentic sonnet yet, but I mean, that should be the case anyway, right? I would expect that anyway. Like, for example, if you're using the older version of Sonnet 5, are they going to be as good as the new Sonnet 5? No. But at the same time, how does that compare versus Opus 4.8? Well, Opus 4.8 is crushing it. And that's the difference right here. If you actually look on the benchmarks as well, you can see the Opus 4.8 is pretty much outperforming on everything. It's just that Sonnet 5 is a big step up from Sonnet 4.6. That's the big difference here. So if you want to see some other stuff that we built with Sonnet 5, let's have a look here. So the outputs were kind of disappointing. Like you can see with this like diagram, it's just a little bit boring. The orbit didn't work. The synthwave is okay, but it's not doing anything special. The one thing I would say as well is like I'll keep GLM 5.2 in the agent OS, but I won't be using Sonnet 5. And also bear in mind, like one big difference between both of these models is that with GLM 5.2, you can actually use OAuth with Hermes agent or OpenClaw, which means you can use them as the brain to power your agents. So you can use them inside Claude Code. You can use GLM 5.2 with their CLI. You can use it agentically inside Hermes or, for example, OpenClaw, but you can't do that with Claude because they block OAuth login, which means that you have to pay for the API. Now, we did do some other things as well. So this was a game that we created called Dragon Realm from Sonnet 5, which is it's not bad. I mean, it's a little bit basic in terms of the responses and everything else, but it's not bad at all. Now, if we compare that versus GLM 5.2, This is GLM 5.2's output. I would say it's just slightly better, slightly more interesting. Bear in mind, like you've got more characters that you're going to come across inside this game. Whereas if you look at the output from Sonnet 5, there's not much really going on, right? When we look around, there's no characters or anything like that. It's just kind of like a basic landscape. The same, for example, we created like this game, as you can see, which is quite fun, easy to play with GLM 5.2. But then if we have a look at the output from Sonnet 5, you look at this and you think, what is this? I think we created something like this 12 months ago with Manus or GenSpark. So, that's the common theme that I'm seeing right here. But then you look at something like this. This is created with Sonnet 5, and it looks a lot more interesting and it's a lot better than if we, for example, compare this versus GLM 5.2's output, which is just super boring on this. So it is a mixed bag. Like, Sonnet 5 does hold its own against this, but again, like, I think the Opus 4.8 would do even better than both of them. This was a game called Neon Drift, kind of like a 3D racer game. This is created with GLM 5.2. And then this is the one created with Sonnet 5, which is still pretty cool. I mean, it's like a 3D game, quite fun to play, etc. So here's another one. This is a game kind of like an RPG open world. So we called it Dusk Wanderer. And if we look at the landscape and the colors from GLM 5.2, it's a lot nicer. It feels a lot better than, for example, if we compare that to Sonnet 5 here. Look how basic this is. Nowhere near the same standard or level, right? And if you want to check these out for yourself, you can check them out side by side on Goldie Bench. Here's another one. So this was a website that we created. It feels super basic with Sonnet 5, like for web design and UI. Whereas if we compare that versus the output from GLM 5.2, it just feels a lot cleaner. It's a lot nicer. I mean, it does use the generic AI colors, the purple gradient, but everything else apart from that is pretty good. And then if we have a look here, we've also got Web OS. So this is literally an operating system. This is the version that we got from GLM 5.2. And if we create something here, it seems to work perfectly. It saves this application, then we close it. And if we open it back up again, it should have our saved notes inside notes here. So look, yeah, so it saved everything that we created. And then, for example, we can open up the calculator app and it's ready to go, right? And so that works pretty nicely. This is GLM OS. Now let's check the same thing with Claude. You see how the background just feels a little bit basic. It's not as smooth versus this one. And then let's check the notes app, see if it actually saves. So we'll type some notes, close out, open it back up. It does save it, to be fair, but it just doesn't feel quite as nice. There's something about it that's missing in terms of the final finishing touches. So overall, if I had a choice between them, I would stick genuinely with GLM 5.2. It's cheaper. We can use it agentically with Hermes. It's open source. We get a lot of tokens on the plan, and it consistently outperformed Sonnet 5 on the benchmarks. Now, if you look at the actual leaderboards here on Goldie Bench, you can see Fusion and Hermes mixed with agents are still right at the top. Grok, Minimax doing pretty well as well. And then you've got GLM 5.2 down here. We closely followed by Opus 4.8 and then Sonnet 5, right? Now, if I had a choice between all of these, I'm probably going to go with Fable 5, and we'll test it out again within 24 hours once it comes back. And it should be out back out tomorrow because the export controls just got re-released, got dropped for that. So that's going to be pretty interesting. And then, whatever happens, we're going to deploy it into our systems. We're going to make the most of it. If you want to get, like, for example, GLM plugged into Claude Code as a setup, we've got it over here. If you want to use GLM alongside Claude, we've got that set up inside the agent operating system over here. We have a memory system that links them all together, and that's automatically organized by our AI agents. And then the thing that I would say here is don't chase a model, chase a system, right? So whatever happens with GLM 5.2, Fable 5, Sonnet 5, doesn't really matter, because we can make systems like this that are super anti-fragile and just are very flexible to them. So if you want to get my full setup, that's inside the Agent OS in the AI Profit Boarding. Link in the comments description, or go to the AIProfitboarding.com. And inside the community, you can ask questions. I personally answer all the questions inside the community daily. Inside the classroom, you get access to all of our best trainings. We have a complete beginner to expert course over here. And then if you want to get the Agent OS, we have that inside this section. So you can get the Agent OS. It's updated daily. You get a video tutorial, a full guide, and the zip file to install it. And then we add new daily tutorials based on what's just been released, as you can see. Now, also inside the calendar, you can jump on weekly coaching calls, get help and support in real time. You can also direct message me and ask me any questions if you want to. And then inside the map, you can connect with people locally near you who are also building with agent operating systems and everything like that. So feel free to get it. Link in the comments description, or just go to the AIProfitboarding.com. Thanks for watching. Which model do you use for your main orchestrator? I think right now, recently, I've been using Grok and Minimax. Seem to be the best. Let's see what happens. M3, yeah, Minimax M3 is pretty good. Yeah, Grok and Minimax M3, I'd say, are the best right now for Hermes. GLM 5.2, not a bad option too. Back in a sec. Yeah, I already done a video on that, mate. 100%. I've never run out of tokens on those. Coming out in 24 hours, right? It's coming back in 24 hours. But yeah, happy days. Happy days, my friend. We have a brand new update from NotebookLM for short video overviews. So this is basically a way that you can generate short videos with NotebookLM. We've already plugged it into our agent operating system, and I'll show you exactly how this works in a second. Bear in mind, it's rolling out right now to Google AI Ultra and Pro subscribers, but just to be 100% clear here, it's going to be coming to free users soon. So you can see that it'll be coming to free users soon. This is always the way that NotebookLM rolls out. They roll out new features to the premium members first, and then it comes out to other members second. Now, if you're wondering what does it look like, what's the quality like, etc., let me show you a couple of examples right here. So basically what these are is 60-second vertical videos, right? So they're designed for, like social media, for example, like quick short videos. And the good thing about this is previously you only really had a choice of using longer videos, which would take longer to generate. And also, like if you wanted these style videos where they're portrait and vertical, you didn't previously have that. So this is what's new with this new update. So if we have a look at this video, for example, we'll play them both side by side, to be fair. These are a couple of examples we've made. And you can see here that the whole video was put together with NotebookLM. Let me show you some more inside our agent operating system. So what we actually did here is we have plugged in NotebookLM as an MCP into our agent operating system, because I think that's like a much nicer way to use it. Now, if we want to see the new short videos that we've created, once we select a relevant notebook, so bear in mind, like each video is related to an individual notebook, custom trained on a specific topic, then we can play the video itself. As you can see right here. And it's not bad at all. It does have sound over the top as well, bear in mind. So it has a voiceover. And then what it's doing is basically it's creating images and then putting them all together inside a video. So it's fully AI generated, fully hands off as well. And then the video itself is created with AI. And bear in mind, this is coming to free users as well. So you can now generate vertical AI videos using NotebookLM for free. And it's all based on the automated research that NotebookLM does as well. So it's a pretty powerful and useful system, as you can see, and also has all of this put together. So it's kind of like you've got a video team, but in one, because the script, the research, the generation of the video, the editing, the voiceover, it's all plugged together inside one system. Now, what I will say is when I look at this video, I'm like, well, is it as good as a human video? No, of course not. Is it as interesting as a human video or like a video you create yourself? Not really. I mean, for example, if we put this side by side, so this is the NotebookLM setup that we've got. We've actually plugged in something called Open Montage, which is an amazing, amazing way of creating like film style videos. And if we compare that short style video here versus the outputs from Open Montage, these are way nicer, right? Like these look absolutely, especially this one and this one, these two look amazing, right? So if I had a choice between using NotebookLM or using Open Montage for generating these videos, I'd probably go with Open Montage. Honestly, I think like it's a better style. But bear in mind, these are educational videos, so they're more based on the research that you plug into your notebook. So for example, we have all these different notebooks, like one on, let's say for example, Meta by Maltbook, we've got AI SEO, Agent OS over here, Mastering Notebook, etc. These are all custom trained pieces of research that we've created with NotebookLM. And so when we generate a video, that's based on the research. Whereas, for example, if you create a film like this, it's more cinematic, it's more interesting to watch, but it's not going to be that educational. So bear in mind as well, if you're creating educational content, then you'd go with NotebookLM. If you're just interested in films or something that's a bit more visual and beautiful, but not that educational, then you'd go with something like Open Montage. So that's the difference between them. Also got something else that I think maybe might be more interesting or better. So we actually have a video agent. And this is like an educational video, as you can see. And basically the B-roll, the AI avatar, the voiceover, the editing, is all put together in one single prompt. And I think, honestly, if I had a choice between this system and NotebookLM for educational videos, I would go with this system. But if you want to use and generate in the future free short videos, then you can use NotebookLM as well. The other benefit of using NotebookLM, of course, is that you can do research as well. So you can do deep dives into the notebooks you use. You can create notebooks and new research about any topic that you choose. Everything is linked with an MCP, so you can plug it into your Agent OS as well. And then also you can generate at literally like one click of a button audio, overviews, videos, slide decks, mind maps, infographics, flashcards, quizzes, data tables, and reports using NotebookLM with just like one click as well. And I think that is pretty powerful. So the videos themselves, wouldn't say they're that great, but when you combine it with the whole system and what you can do for free with NotebookLM, it's pretty unbelievable. And then what we actually have here is a system where we can plug in all of the stuff we've created with NotebookLM. So for example, if you look at this, we've got like this beautiful infographic that we created with NotebookLM. We've got like really detailed research reports. We have, for example, podcasts and video audio overviews, and then we have like the videos themselves. Now, actually, one thing to note here as well is like if you look at the videos directly from NotebookLM, so these are the long form videos that you can generate with NotebookLM. I would say these kind of feel more like a slideshow presentation, right? Whereas, for example, if you look at the outputs from the shorts, they're more kind of like a bit more animated, a bit more interesting. So it depends what you prefer to use. I also think these look a lot cleaner though when you look at the video themselves. It's just a bit boring to watch. And I don't see like many videos like this doing well on social media, honestly. Whereas I think this style might do better, but at the same time, I would still go with the video agent or open montage for creating like, really interesting pieces of content. So it depends what you want. And the cool thing about this is what another use case of this is that if you're creating, for example, short videos or research with NotebookLM, is like it's just great for learning. Like it is an amazing learning tool. If I was starting to learn a language from scratch, this is the system I would use. Or if I was trying to take a complicated topic and break it down step by step, I would use NotebookLM. It's pretty good for that. So overall, pretty powerful system, especially when you plug it into something like the agent operating system, where we can also, for example, take the outputs from NotebookLM and then plug it into our memory. And then we give our memory more context as well. The other thing that I would say here is obviously it's a lot faster than like editing shorts yourself or editing short videos. So, if you were looking at creating a short video like 2 or 3 years ago, well, you'd have to script, record, and edit everything by hand. Might take you like half a day of video. You have to do a lot of research, and your reach basically stalls because you can't keep up with everything. That would be the old way. But the new way with something like NotebookLM is that you drop in the sources, you get a 60-second vertical video with AI back. You can turn every piece of research you have into a short video, and then you can plug them into your agent operating system so that Hermes or whatever can create videos whenever you want for free using this system. Now, some people want to watch this and they might be like, well, is it free or is it not free? So it's coming to free users in the future. You might also say, okay, why would you want to generate short videos? Well, it's just good for learning and also good for social media and that sort of thing. Additionally, you might say, which one is the best system to use? Is it NotebookLM or is it Open Montage or is it the video agent for generating videos? Personally, for me, I would go with the video agent first, then Open Montage, and then Notebook for generating videos themselves. But if I had to pick between all these systems for research, then I would go with NotebookLM. So that's what I'd recommend for you too. So if you want to start using this whole system as basically like a content factory, everything that I've shown you today, the NotebookLM automations, the video agent, open montage, all of the playbooks, we've plugged into the agent operating system. You also get a step-by-step setup guide. You get the exact NotebookLM and agent OS wiring from what I've shown you today. You get 4 coaching calls a week and loads of other powerful stuff inside the AI Profit Boardroom. So if you go to the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description, or go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. This is my community for helping you learn, grow, and scale with AI automation. You might also say, okay, isn't the agent OS system like pretty difficult to use or a little bit technical. But actually, you can see, for example, so many people are getting results with this, and I'm non-technical, they're non-technical. We can all get awesome results with an agent operating system like this. So you don't need to be technical to set up, and there's so many amazing people in there that you can connect with as well. Also, inside the classroom, you get all of my best trainings on NotebookLM. So if you actually type in NotebookLM inside the search here, you can get access to loads of different trainings and how to combine it with loads of different tools and get the most out of it. So we've got loads of video tutorials and trainings on that. You can also post questions inside the community and get help and support in real time. Inside the calendar, you can jump on 4 weekly coaching calls and get help and support on a call, share your screen, ask questions, meet the community, and then inside the map, you can meet people in your local area. So feel free to get that link in the comments description or just go to the aiprofitbomb.com. Thanks for watching. Fable is back. It's coming back, peeps. But yeah, everyone's excited. Will you be using mixture of agents using Fable when it's back? That would be a great one. Yeah, I might test it out. That's a great idea. Hermes mixture of agents plus Fable 5. Wow. That's probably gonna go straight to the top of the leaderboards, to be fair. Yeah, gotta try that. Today, we're going to be answering the latest questions on the Agent Operating System, which is a powerful system that combines all of your AI agents together into one amazing place where you can orchestrate your agents and do anything you want with AI. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to run through all of the latest questions because I know if everyone else has these questions, you probably do too. If you're wondering, okay, what have we updated recently inside the system? So we've got a lead generation tool with Hermes Agent. We've been testing out a mixture of agents, which is pretty wild as a tool, actually. I would definitely recommend checking it out. And then also we have our memory system plugged inside here, which basically automatically updates this stuff. In terms of new stuff, we've actually created GLM code. So this is a new section inside Agent OS where you can have your GLM 5.2 coding plan, which is pretty much up there with Opus 4.8, and plug that into an agent harness like Claude Code, which is super powerful. We also have NotebookLM and a new section for short videos, so you can generate short videos in like one single click using NotebookLM, and that's super powerful. You can see some of the stuff that we can do right here. And also you can pull in all of your NotebookLM videos and research and everything else inside this section too. And then additionally, we've been building out more stuff into the SEO content pipeline. So you can actually use open SEO with this now too. And additionally, Claude Fable 5 should be back tomorrow. So when that actually comes out, we'll be adding Fable 5 as a default CLI inside the Agent OS. And by the way, you can customize or change anything that you want with this system, but this is just what we're using right now. So let's get straight into some of the questions, some of the latest questions we've had from the AI Profit Boredom community, what they're asking, and how we can help. So we've got a question from Michael 8 minutes ago. So this is a pretty recent one. And he says, ex-IT guy looking for a direction to go with AI, right? And he's running Cursor, he's running anti-gravity. He's got a couple of vibe coding projects, but he says, I am working on these, but I'm all over the place. So looking to find like one focus, looking for one setup, etc. So when it comes to overwhelm or when it comes to being all over the place, we actually have a system to help you avoid that. That's actually the first thing we have inside the start here section of the AI Profit Boredom, just because it is so common, right? I've seen so many people struggling with staying focused. And so we have a full guide and setup guide on how to never worry about overwhelm or being all over the place and make sure that you focus. It's called our focus protocol. It basically cuts out all the noise so you can focus. Now, on top of that, if you're wondering, okay, what should you focus on in the meantime? We've got two different pathways for that. So we've got two different pathways to help you focus. But the main thing I would say is just focus on one thing at a time. Like with AI, you can do so much, but you don't need to do that much, right? You just need to focus on one thing at a time and then go from there. So, for example, right now for me, my main focus is the agent operating system because I know if I just focus on that, we're going to build something amazing and that's just going to keep improving every single day. And I do the same for you. It's like just focus on one thing at a time. Don't let yourself get distracted. Don't try and do like 5 different projects at once. Just do one thing at a time and stay laser focused. So we have a question here from Scott, and he is running Claude Desktop and Hermes Desktop as well. And he's also going to download Minimax Desktop. Now, at this point already, I would say you probably need an agent operating system because if you're using 3 different tools, Minimax, Claude, and Hermes, well, that can get quite messy. And so you're clicking between tabs. It's quite hard to link everything together. I can see that you're already at the point where you're having trouble tracking multiple tasks. And so, Scott, if I was you, I'd definitely recommend using the Agent OS instead because if you've got like three different apps with three different tools, it's going to be very messy to track everything that you do. You're going to lose projects, you're going to get distracted, and it'll be hard to orchestrate all of it. So, when you're using the Agent operating system, the great thing is number one, for your session history, you can store all of that inside the memory Obsidian system so that everything gets automatically logged. So, like every time we do something inside our system, it gets logged to our memory, and then that's automatically organized inside Obsidian. And then, for example, if you generate something with Claude, well, that goes inside your workspace. The same with, for example, Hermes or anything else that you do. And so, for me personally, I'd recommend that you stick or focus on the Agent OS instead because it'll help you manage everything. It'll keep everything smoother and in one place. And if you want to get the Agent OS system, it's right here. So we have a zip file where you can download and install it. Sanjita was asking about like how do you set up Agent OS on Docker? Now, for me personally, I actually don't use Docker and I've never used it to set up an agent operating system. So I just run it locally, as you can see, and that works really well for me. We do have members who have run it on a VPS, but I've never set it up on Docker. However, if I was trying to do it, I would follow the same advice that Jay Parsons recommends, that where you basically you can use the zip file to install the agent operating system, and you can ask Claude to put it into Docker for you and orchestrate that all for you in the back end. Andrea is asking about using GitHub to link together and create a system of 12 main AI agents, plus Honcho, Hermes, and Paperclips. It sounds complicated already. And says she wasn't sure about permissions or everything like that, and also data. And then, but also needs to get this up and running ASAP. So for me personally, I think if you're worried about data, and data protection, I wouldn't use GitHub to store a project because it's open source. And you know, if you saw the situation with Anthropic, it was pretty bad because what happened is they accidentally leaked their code on GitHub. So if they make those sort of mistakes, you can imagine that one of us could easily make those mistakes too. So when it comes to linking everything together, like a team of 12 agents, and then, for example, Paperclip, Hermes, etc., instead of plugging that into GitHub, I would recommend that you just use like something like the Agent OS, right? And if you have multiple different teams or multiple different setups, for example, like Paperclip, well, that just slots in easily, as you can see, inside the Agent OS instead. And I think that's a much cleaner, smoother way to link everything together and to have it in one place. Also, we've got some great news today as Anthropic have announced that Fable 5 should be restored with access to us by tomorrow. So I think within 24 hours, we'll be looking at Fable 5 coming back, which is great. And again, I will be plugging that into Claude as soon as it drops. There was an interesting post from Alan about Sonnet 5 versus Opus 4.8. For me personally, I want to stick with Opus 4.8. And Fable 5 is obviously coming as well. So I kind of feel like this Sonnet 5 is almost one of the worst releases that we're seeing with AI. But at the same time, Fable 5 is amazing. So I have nothing against Anthropic. I think they're fantastic. But I do think that there's an issue with Sonnet 5 for sure. And it's just, there's no point using it. We also compared GLM 5.2 versus Sonnet 4.8. Sorry, Sonnet 5 versus GLM 5.2. And for me personally, I would go with GLM 5.2 when you consider everything, including the costs and the fact that you can plug GLM 5.2 into Hermes, but you can't do that with something like Sonnet 5. So we've got a question here from Maho, who's, thinking about starting a side gig, helping local restaurants, etc., get found online. So it sounds like you're basically looking for help with SEO there. The way that I would recommend doing that is, in terms of a stack, probably go with just Claude. If you want the full basics, just go with Claude and then use Ahrefs too. If you want to go a bit more advanced, then we actually have a full SEO system inside the agent operating system. So, for example, it can pull in the latest research from your Google Search Console with a Google Workspace API. You've also got Open SEO, which works with the data for SEO API for rank trackings inside AI and also inside Google. And then we also have this system where we can plug in a keyword, plug in a case study, deploy that to our websites with Netlify or WordPress, and from there actually index the content with Indexceptional as well. So if you want like a full stack built out, you could use that. If you want the basic stack, you've got that above too. Q was asking about like cheaper frontier models. So for us, we've actually used Olama with GLM 5.2. That's pretty good. You can get the cloud subscription plan. And that also gives you access to loads of other models too. And then what you can do is you can actually set up in one click GLM 5.2 with Claude Code, like we've got built right here. Or you can actually set up Hermes in one single click with GLM 5.2, as we've got inside the Agent OS as well. So that's a good option. Otherwise, just a normal GLM 5.2 coding plan is pretty good too. You also might think, some of this stuff is a bit complicated or that sort of thing. So you can see, for example, like Timo, he just joined like literally he's brand new and he's already set up Hermes agent and set up his first Hermes system. So if you're new to AI agents, like there's so many people inside the community who are getting awesome results. There's 194 pages of wins and testimonials inside our document, as you can see right here. So I know, like, if I'm non-technical and I can set this up, if they're all non-technical and they can set this up, anyone can win with AI. You just have to learn how. And I think a community that's supportive and positive like this is great for learning that stuff. So shout out to Timo, but also use this as inspiration. If you're struggling with AI agents or you're struggling with using AI, you can get there. You just have to be persistent, and it's a skill that you learn over time. So a win from John Meza, who is an absolute legend inside the community. And you can see what he's built here. So he's got Hermes agent running directly with his agent OS over here, and he's plugged it into the system, which is quite a nice way to use it. Now we've got Hermes as well with a bit more advanced functionality inside our agent operating system. But the main point is, if you're using anything open source like Hermes or OpenClaw, definitely use it like this. Now, one way that I like to get the most out of Hermes as well is to basically segment it by what it can do into a separate tab. So what I mean by this, for example, is like we've got a system here where we can do lead generation in one prompt, then we can draft the email campaign, and then we can manage our emails and all the leads that we've contacted inside this one single system. And that's just one tiny piece of what Hermes can do, but we've got it inside one workflow so we can come back to it whenever we need to. We also, for example, got the video agent over here, and we can generate videos in one click with Hermes just by typing in the prompt. And then, for example, we can generate the full avatar video, as you can see. So however you prefer to use Hermes inside your agent operating system, you can. This is how I recommend using it. It's a great win for John as well. Shout out to John for taking action and also sharing that with the community. Now, we've got a question from Sierra, which is how to get Hermes and OWL Alpha working. So OWL Alpha was a free API that was available on beta, and it was released end of April. I actually saw recently that it's now been taken off and it's not free anymore. So the model OWL Alpha doesn't exist on OpenRoot anymore. If you actually type in OWL Alpha, the only model that pops up is Mansa Weaver, and that is a paid API. What you can do instead is if you type in free inside OpenRouter, there's a bunch of free models that you can use instead. So, for example, Gemma 4, North MIDI Code, Hermes 3, NVIDIA Nematron 3.5, etc. So that's a good way around it instead. This is pretty interesting. So Robert was asking, like, are there any themes for the Agent OS? Which is not something we've actually done. It might be something we create in the future if there's enough demand for it. But right now, we've just got the UI as it is. However, what I will say is that when I look at a lot of community members who are using the Agent OS, a lot of community members using the Agent OS, they actually customize it how they want it to look. And the great thing about that is you can always change the branding, the logo, you can change the style of it, look and theme. Sheena did a great job of this and actually rebranded it plus changed it to her own version. So you can customize yours as much as you want. There was a good example from Robbie D as well, who created his own sort of Kanban pipeline for job outreach with the Agent OS as well. So whatever theme, style, color, etc. you prefer to use, you can set it up with your own Agent OS. There was also a good example of Joseph Helston, who basically changed the colors inside his Obsidian memory setup. So it's very easy to customize and change however you want. You can just ask the agent that set it up for you to do that for you. So we have a question from Nova who was asking about what's the best system to use for memory. So we currently use Obsidian, which is just a bunch of markdown files, but Nova is using SQL. And he said somehow I feel a bit of pressure to instead of use Obsidian, use SQL. And yes, like, is Obsidian somehow better? Is SQL better? Or what should you use for memory? I personally don't use SQL just because it's a bit more technical and it's based on code. Whereas, for example, with Markdown, it's simplified. And for me, I always find like the simplest systems, all things being equal, tends to be the best. And also, when I've looked at other people who've set up a great memory system, the best ones I've seen by far have been Obsidian. I've never seen like a really good memory system created with SQL. So if you want to simplify and if you want to make things easy for yourself and your agents, then I would go with Obsidian. But for me personally, I don't have a lot of experience with coding with SQL, so I can't recommend it. So Timo was asking about whether to use TaskMD and create markdown tasks for Kanban, or how do you orchestrate your agents? For me personally, I don't use TaskMD. I use Hermes with Kanban instead. TaskMD is not something I'm really familiar or something I've tested with personally. If you do test out TaskMD, just let us know because I'd be interested to know, okay, which one do you prefer? But for me right now, just running Hermes agent and then that drives our Kanban board forward seems to be the fastest and easiest solution. And we've got some great outputs from the Kanban. They actually just released a new update for Hermes Kanban yesterday as well, so it doesn't freeze as much. But yeah, TaskMD is not something I'm familiar with. I tend to just go with the simplest systems because otherwise, if you make things too complicated for agents, they just kind of break or there's more problems in the system. So if you can simplify as well, that tends to work better. Tom was asking about Olama versus Hermes. Which one is best? So it's kind of like comparing apples and oranges. Olama is a way to run models, and you can run models locally or via the cloud with Olama. And they actually have an option where you can run Hermes in one click with Olama. And then, for example, with Hermes, Hermes is the agent, right? So you want to think of it in terms of okay, so Olama is the model provider and Hermes is the agent that you can plug the model into. So Hermes is, for example, the hands, and Olama is the brain, and they work together. It's not something you would compare side by side. Got another question here from Timo. So Timo was asking, what is the best memory system? Should you use Byte Rover? Should you use Open Viking? Should you use Honcho? What should you use, particularly when you have multiple Hermes profiles? So I would stick with Obsidian. That's what's worked the best for me right now. And we have the Memory Galaxy plugged into the Agent OS using that. The reason that I don't use the native memory systems with Hermes is like number one, they're not some of them are not free. And also number two, Obsidian seems to work really well with AI agents. And it also transfers across Claude, OpenClaw, Hermes, and whatever else comes out next. So for me personally, I just use Obsidian. And the great thing about it is it's a very simple system with just markdown files and folders. So it's easy for your agents to update, navigate, and organize for you. Also, here's another good example. So you can see here that Adrian, they created a LinkedIn desk inside their agent operating system. So you can see, for example, how it works. It's using our system, but basically they've added their own custom setup inside the agent operating system. So it's called the LinkedIn desk, and then it can create content, it can schedule it, you can create the content with AI, and it's all inside one tidy workflow that's one click away inside the system. So that is an amazing example of what you can build with the agent OS and how you can customize it and make it your own. They're also asking for some help, which Robbie has helped with already. So appreciate that, Robbie. But yeah, the the beauty of the agent operating system is if you have a workflow, you can set it up so that it's only one click away. So if we need to do videos, we've got it over here. If we need to do SEO, we've got that over here. If we need to check the memory, we've got that over here. If we need to run a team of agents inside a Kanban board, we've got that over here. And it's all set up and ready to go whenever you need it. And I think that's a beautiful thing about this is it's very customizable. And also you've seen how many members are just taking these systems and making it their own. So we have answered every single question inside the AI Profit Board today. If you want to ask me questions like this, I create a video tutorial based on all the latest questions. We've got an amazing community that's really supportive, helpful, lots of great people inside there, lots of people helping each other, 194 pages of testimonials and wins from people winning with AI. It's just a great community to be part of as well. And I think, when you're learning AI, it can be quite a lonely journey. You coding all the time, you're testing out new tools. It's very hard to meet people who are into AI as much as you are, I think, because it's so new. So if you want to join a community where you can meet people and network with great entrepreneurs, founders, people using AI agents, plus myself, then you can do that inside the AI Profit Board. You also get the full agent operating system that I've shown you today with every system plugged in already. And then inside the community, you can ask questions and get help and video tutorials. I personally answer every single question. We also showcase what members are doing. So you can see, for example, this system that Robbie set up. Inside the classroom, you get access to all of our best trainings. So we have, for example, this section with the Agent OS system, the last update date, a zip file to install it, and then we have new daily tutorials based on what's actually useful with full step-by-step guides and videos. And then additionally, if you're a complete beginner, you can go from beginner to expert over here. You can also get weekly coaching calls. You can get 4 weekly coaching calls, get help and support in real time. Inside the map, you can meet people in your local area who are working on stuff like this. So I hope to see you inside there. Link in the comments description or go to the AIProfitBoard.com. See what questions we got here. Wow. Okay. That's kind of what blah, blah, blah. How do you use Omi with Obsidian? Yeah, so Omi, basically the way that it works is Omi can it can record your screen, it can listen to your conversations, and then it takes notes on your memories. And then what you can do is export all the notes that it takes daily over to Obsidian, and that's how they sync together. Because Omi is taking notes and creating the memory, and then Obsidian stores the memory so that your agents can use that context. So that's how they work together. Do you ever think Google Gemini will have the top model in the world? I think, once a year when they release something big, they'll have the top model, and then give it a month and another model comes out. So Google, they don't release that many updates, but when they do, they're really good. So it's usually a case that they create something good, then it drops, then they get overtaken again, and it kind of follows that cycle. So it's one of those things, isn't it, where it's up and down like a yo-yo. Is Omi Mac only? Yes, but we have a tutorial on a different tool you can actually use over here if you don't have a Mac. And this is another open source system you can use, which is this one, as you can see. So it's a full video tutorial and step-by-step guide on how to use that here, if you prefer to use something like that instead. Ryan says, can you loop with Sonnet 5? Yes, you can. We actually have a loop engine inside the Agent OS here. So you can see the loop section. So you could switch this to whatever API you wanted. I mean, even like pretty much any model you could loop, like it's just having the right system that can do the looping for you. But yeah, for sure with Sonnet 5, brand new API, probably very effective at that, to be fair. But not as effective as Opus 4.8. So I would just stick to Opus 4.8. Today we have a brand new update from a Chinese model that's open source. It is called Long Cat. Long Cat 2.0 is here. And this was actually the full model behind Owl Alpha. So if you're familiar with Owl Alpha, which was a free API, you could actually use it with Hermes. You could plug it into Claude Code before, and it was not bad at all. It is an agentic model, and this was actually revealed as Long Cat 2.0. So this has now officially been released, and you can get access to it, and you can see the full details right here. So it's got Long Cat, sparse attention, zero compute experts, MOPD, stacks up not badly on the benchmarks here. If you're wondering how to compare against everything, so Terminal Bench 2.1, it holds its own with these other models, as you can see right here. This is compared against Opus 4.6, 4.7, and 4.8. Now, obviously, Opus 4.8 is crushing it by a long way, as you can see here. The other thing that I noticed is if you're using this directly on the website, so if you go to Longcat and then you go to the API section, it looks like you can't use the API unless you have some sort of Chinese setup. So, for example, here, if we try and get a pack, wow, it's broken anyway. Look at that. But if you want to use it, I've been testing out, so I'll show you what we've done so far with it and how it works and how it performs here. So let's have a look at some of the stuff we built with this. How it performs, some benchmarks. Some of it was good, some of it was not so good. So this is a game we created called Dragon Realm. It's not bad. I mean, the graphics are not bad. This is nowhere near the same standard as GLM 5.2 or Opus 4.8 or anything like that. But I don't think it's designed to be. I think it's just designed to be a cool model that you can test out. This one was not bad at all as well. So this is kind of like a Skyrim style open world game. As you can see, it runs pretty smoothly. The graphics are not great. And then here's another one. This is probably the best output that I saw so far. And we can compare it on Goldie Bench against a bunch of other examples in a second. But again, it's still pretty basic and buggy, right? Like what is going on here? It just goes completely black. And then we have another example right here. So overall, on my tests, I wouldn't say it's that impressive. We ran it through Goldie Bench. I'll show you how it compares versus other models in a second. It is a 1.6 open source, 1.6 trillion parameter model. And the other thing to note here, this is probably the biggest update about it. As you can see from this tweet by Robin, is that number one, it's open source, but number two, it was actually built on a different chip. So this was built on China's Meituan, and this was trained without a single NVIDIA chip. Now, if you're wondering who are Meituan, they're basically like China's version of DoorDash. It's just pretty crazy. I mean, we saw this with Xiaomi as well earlier this year, where everyone's getting involved in AI. Everyone's bringing out their own models. Companies that we don't expect to bring out their own models come out. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, like, fair play to them for bringing out a model like this. Would I say it's the best model I've ever used? Probably not. But it is fun to play with, fun to test out, etc. The way that I actually used it, because I can get access to the API and see, like, it's not even available to top up yet. is you can actually go to the chat section and just start using it there. They've also got a full breakdown of how it works step by step, as you can see on the website. Also, on the evaluations, this is pretty interesting. GPT 5.5 is only slightly above on Terminal Bench versus Longcat. And then on SWE Bench Pro, Longcat is actually outperforming GPT 5.5. Now, again, I've shown you my tests. Do I personally think that it's better than GPT 5.5 on my own benchmarks? Probably not. And Opus 4.8 is beating them all, but you would expect that anyway. Now, I think probably the most relevant side-by-side comparison is comparing it against GLM 5.2, because that is another open source project that just came out of China recently and is very cheap on the coding plan, and also is designed to be agentic as well. So, for example, we have a look at this crypt game. This is the one created from GLM 5.2. It's pretty dark and it is a little bit buggy, but it works and is actually, interesting and quite useful. If we compare that versus the option from Longcat here, you can see that this is very limited. It has nothing going on in the game and it's super buggy, right? You can just walk through the wall. So on that particular benchmark, GLM 5.2 is winning. Let's have a look at the next one. So this is the Dragon Realm game, as we showed earlier. Now this is the one from GLM 5.2. Pretty nice. Open world. Has lots of interesting stuff, quite playable, etc. Right? And even like the graphics are not bad at all. Now, if we compare that versus this option from Longcat here, you can see that it's just not quite the same quality or caliber. It kind of feels like this is an older generation of it. Let's check the next version now. So we've got our own version of Skyrim over here. This is the GLM 5.2 option. Again, looks pretty nice, very open world, feels expansive and big. If we compare that versus Longcat here, this is actually a lot smoother, but there's just not much going on, right? It's not as interesting. And then we created Voxel Craft as well. So this is the option from GLM 5.2, which is actually pretty impressive. Like it works perfectly. It's fun to play. It's easy to set up, etc. If we compare that versus the version from Longcat, you can see it's just nowhere near the same level. So if you have a choice between them, I would still go with GLM 5.2. I think that it's interesting to see what's coming out of China, but I think GLM 5.2 by far is the strongest model out of everything I've tested. When it comes to open source stuff. So that's basically it. Will I be switching to Longcat anytime soon? No, but I wanted to test it, show you what it looks like, etc. One thing we've actually done with GLM 5.2 recently is plug it into Claude Code inside the agent operating system. And this is our mission control dashboard where we can have all of our agents working and plugged in together. Now, if you want to get that set up, it's all available inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description, or go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. Inside the community, you can ask questions, get help and support in real time. I answer every single question inside the community personally with a video tutorial. Plus, you get the whole support and help of the whole community. And there's always someone online 24/7 to help you. Inside the classroom, you can get access to all of our best trainings and lessons. Inside the new daily update section, you can see we've got our full Agent OS system, the last update date. So we update this daily, video tutorial, and a zip file on how to use it. And then we add new tutorials based on what actually comes out and is useful. Inside the calendar, you can jump on weekly coaching calls, get help and support in real time. Inside the map, you can meet people in your local area who are building with AI agents like you've seen today. And that's all available inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description, or go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. Thanks for watching. Is Anthropic API? Yeah, so you can't use OAuth. you cannot use OAuth from Claude with Hermes Agent. Do you think Anthropic will release tomorrow with Fable 5? Yeah, 100%. They've already confirmed that they will. So I think there'll be an announcement in a few hours, and then I would expect to see Fable 5 coming back for some people within the next 24 hours, with the full rollout probably coming within the next sort of 48 hours as well. I think it'll be part of the subscription, actually. Obviously, the tokens will be limited, but I think Fable 5 will be part of the subscription from what I've seen announced as well recently. So that's pretty exciting too. Team Rocker is here. Welcome. Will it be? Yeah, I would expect that it will still be included inside the subscription, at least for now. Now, you may not be able to use it that much, in terms of the token usage, but I would expect that, yeah, you won't need to pay for the API at first, at least, anyway. Do I use GLM 5.2? Yes, we have it plugged into our agent operating system, and we use it inside. We use GLM 5.2 inside GLM code over here, and then we can create and build whatever we want with it. And then we also have GLM 5.2 as the CLI. And then the other way that I use it is we plug it into Hermes Agent, and we've got GLM 5.2 as one of the agent profiles, so we can build and automate whatever we want with GLM 5.2. I also tested it on Goldie Bench with 42 different builds. So if you want to see what we've built with it, what it can do, what sort of stuff you can create with it, just check out the full systems here and all the builds, and you can see how it performs versus everything else on the compare pages here too. You can just go to Z AI. So if you go to Z AI, you can use GLM 5.2 for free. What's your thoughts on Sonnet 5? Not going to use it. Not going to use it. I've tested it out. You can see it on Goldie Bench if you want to see like the benchmarks and everything. So we've already built out a bunch of stuff with it and compared it versus other models. So you can see it on the leaderboard down here, number 10. But from what I'm seeing so far, it's nowhere near the same levels. Fable 5, of course. It's not a big step up from Sonnet 4.6, honestly. And if you look at Sonnet 5 and you compared it side by side versus GLM 5.2 or Opus 4.8, I would go with Opus 4.8. I think that announcement will come in a few hours. So I would give it like 6 to 12 hours, I can imagine. And then I would imagine that the update will come. And that'll probably come before the full rollout, maybe like an hour or two before the Fable 5 model starts coming back to everyone. Back in a minute. Your ranking system is subjective. Every ranking system is subjective, my friend. We've all seen that. You know, we've all seen systems where we see the benchmarks and then we see what actually happens in reality. You know, whether you see numbers or not, benchmarks, they tend to be subjective and they don't tend to live up to what you actually see. So my philosophy is always test it yourself. You can see what I've built with it, get a feel for it yourself, and then you can test it yourself and see what you think as well. I think that's the only right way to use and test AI, right? If you don't test it yourself, then you're just kind of guessing or you're relying on someone else's word. And bear in mind, like most of these benchmarks as well, they come out from the company directly. So do you trust your benchmarks or someone who's neutral, or do you trust their benchmarks? That's your choice, isn't it? way. Yeah, I agree with that. I think front end is better. Oh, announcement just came out. Let's have a cheeky gander. Thank you, sir, for telling me. Anthropic or Claude? Let's have a look at both. It's not on Claude's account. I mean, it's not on Anthropic's account. Where's the announcement? Oh, on the Anthropic news site. Let's have a look. Thanks for the heads up, by the way. Can't see it. Where's the link? Redeploying. All right, perfect. There we go. Boom shakalaka. Thank you very much for letting me know, by the way. I appreciate that. So it looks like we're back in the game, my friends. So Anthropic have announced it. They announced it on their Twitter account earlier today, and then they said there's going to be a big announcement on the website, and here it is. So June the 12th, export control happens. Now it's been lifted. Happy days. It's going to be available starting tomorrow, Wednesday, July the 1st, to users globally on Claude and everywhere else for Pro, Max, Team, and select enterprise plans. Now, Fable 5 will be included for up to 50% of weekly usage limits through July the 7th, after which it will be available via usage credits, and they're going to re-enable access on AWS, Google Cloud, and everywhere else as quickly as possible. So I guess it's probably 10:30 EST in Claude in the US right now. So 10:30 p.m. on June the 30th. So I can imagine within 12 hours, we should start seeing access to Fable 5 again, which is great news. They've also restored access to Mythos 5 for a set of US organizations. We all knew we weren't getting access to that anyway. And then they're going to be, there's a full guide on here. All right, nice. I'm going to do a separate tutorial on everything else that is inside this announcement, but pretty interesting stuff. Awesome news. Thank you so much for giving me the heads up. I appreciate it. Thanks everyone who joined. DJ Jerome, you're an absolute legend. Thanks to everyone else who joined as well today. I'll see you on the next one, peeps. Cheers. Bye-bye.